All right. In memory of Ozzy Osbourne, this song is absolutely awesome. The stories, everything about the great Oz. I remember with my my very, very good friends from high school. Actually, they were from Hershey. I was in Wheeling. From Wheeling, we would go to Wisconsin camping and do crazy, stupid things, and we would be playing Ozzy Crazy Train, right? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Come on, baby. 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. He's a former federal prosecutor. He's also a huge Ozzy fan. I don't know, I'm making that up. George Parry, former federal and state prosecutor. Now, George, you probably aren't going to remember this, but I interviewed you out of Dallas, my old station, with St. George Floyd. Blessed be his name. About him dying from a drug overdose in the custody of Minneapolis police. We talked for almost an hour one night on the show, and I'm always a fan of yours since that day,
Well, thank you very much, Chris. I recall that interview.
Yeah! Woohoo!
So you made an impression.
And that's why you won't call me back. Just kidding! So, George, I love that you're a former federal prosecutor, Philadelphia guy still, right?
Yeah.
And
yes,
this column you wrote, the Butler probabilities. This is so insane because, and obviously I'm not. I always think I'm the only guy thinking this. I'm not. You are, and probably a lot of us are. But I was saying for weeks and weeks and weeks, and ever since, with the near death of President Trump, the assassination attempt, hitting him in the ear with that bullet, firing 8 shots, killing Corey Comparatore, and wounding others, that the Secret Service. The only conclusion I came to, and I will never let go of this, is that I think they purposely withdrew their hand so that Trump could get assassinated. And when I read your column today, there was many points in it that I thought was very accurate. This column in The Spectator today. And to me, one thing I wanted to mention is, to me, it seemed like the Secret Service intentionally left it for the locals with no coordination, no comms, no meetings with Secret Service. They just left it to the locals, and the locals can do a dang good job, but they're not the Secret Service. And tell me about that. It seemed like they withdrew their hand, and that they left it to the locals to do the work that the Secret Service should have been doing.
Well, throughout the campaign, the Secret Service higher-ups were denying the requests of the detail assigned to Donald Trump for resources. So that was a pattern and a practice throughout the campaign. When it came to Butler, what they did was the Secret Service sent in a novice, inexperienced DEI hire agent to do the site evaluation, which means that she was called the site agent. And her job was to inspect the Butler Farm Show grounds, identify what they call site vulnerabilities, and in this case it would be potential sniper locations, and make plans to deal with those vulnerabilities and to have a coordinated communication system between the Secret Service personnel who would be assigned and local law enforcement. Because throughout the campaign, and at Butler in particular, they weren't going to have an all Secret Service security set up. The Secret Service effort had to be supplemented by state and local law enforcement. There had been a general denial of resources to the Trump campaign throughout, and so they needed a coordinated communication set up between state and local people and the Secret Service. Well, that didn't happen. It was a totally inadequate, under-resourced effort, so that even though Crooks, the guy who took the shots at President Trump, even though he had been identified well before he fired those shots, they were unable to communicate effectively to the Donald Trump detail,
right,
who could have kept Trump off the stage until Crooks had been apprehended. That didn't happen because it was an under-resourced effort. So the effect was there was an obvious, glaringly obvious sniper's perch, which was the roof of the AGR building at the Butler Fairgrounds. It was only 441 feet away from the stage where Trump was speaking. And for whatever reason, they didn't have anybody covering that rooftop. That was an obvious sniper's location. It should have been provided for well before the day of the rally. They should have had plans to have someone on that roof or someone directly observing that roof to eliminate it as a sniper position. That didn't happen. Trump's Crooks got up on the roof. He got off 8 shots, and 441 feet may sound like a lot, but trust me, a rifleman with minimal skills would have no problem hitting a target the size of a human being on that stage. The only thing that saved Trump was at the last split second before Crooks opened fire, Trump turned his head and he got hit in the fleshy part of the ear instead of a fatal headshot. The fact of the matter is that was what saved Trump. And if you look at it in the article, what the article does is I go into all of the reasons why the Biden people and the opposition to Trump wanted Trump eliminated, because he had made it clear that he was going to just completely upend Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And these people had been trying to destroy Trump. They had tried to bankrupt him through bogus civil litigation. They tried to smear him and impeach him when he was in office, and they had tried to put him in prison for life, and all of that had failed. And they viewed him as an existential threat to their continued control of the federal, I call it the federal Leviathan, where trillions of dollars were at stake. So there was this tremendous motive behind trying to eliminate Trump, and they had run out of tricks. The only thing that was left was getting him killed. And it's not that they hired somebody to do the job. It's just that through the Secret Service, they left the door open to let nature take its course. You could call it malign neglect.
That is so much what I was shouting from the rooftops. To hear you say that, to read your column in Spectator about this is so rewarding for me to see that, because I totally agree with what you were saying. Hey, did Nurse Jill, or not a Dr. Jill, you can take your pick on what we want to call her, did Nurse Jill have better coverage from the Secret Service at her nearby rally in I don't know, it was Pittsburgh, but it was in Pennsylvania that day? And then also I think Cackle and Kamala had one too there the same day. Didn't they get a lot more? Did they get a lot more Secret Service protection than Trump did that day?
Well, that's what I've read in the media. I haven't researched those points exactly, but when it comes to Jill Biden, it's been pointed out to me by people who do know these things that the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle,
yes,
who was running the operation and was responsible, along with her leadership team, for not only under-resourcing Trump's detail, it also withheld classified threat information that should have been shared with the people tasked with protecting Trump. Well, anyhow, Kimberly Cheadle, according to people who seem to know about these things, was selected as director of the Secret Service because of an association with Jill Biden.
Yes.
So you have someone who is directly beholden to the Biden regime who is running the Secret Service, and that same Secret Service, due to the leadership, has been under, the detail protecting Trump has been under-resourced. They've been denied vital threat information that they would need to properly plan for Trump's protection. And so, yeah, it's like I said, it's not that they hired an assassin to do the job. It's just that they left the door open in the hopes that some nut job out there would do the job for them. Either a nut job or, as I point out in the article, Trump has been under direct threat by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard ever since 2020, when at Trump's direction they took out the general in charge of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And the Iranians have been trying ever since to kill Trump. So the handwriting was on the wall. There's a very severe, dangerous threat environment that Trump was operating in. And for some reason, they send an incompetent agent to do the site evaluation. They don't provide the resources that were requested, and they had to cobble, the agents tasked with protecting Trump had to cobble together a protection plan that involved state and local police that was uncoordinated, and they couldn't put together a comprehensive plan of protection. So that's what Trump stepped into in Butler, and thank God he turned his head at the last second.
It's just unbelievable. George Parry, I want to just close this out here with this quote from your piece here that's in The Spectator. Special agent in charge of Secret Service Pittsburgh office said, had he been informed of the threats against Trump from the Iranians, the attempts of, the plans of assassination, two different Pakistani national and Afghan national, and then, of course, the video released of Iran assassinating him with the drone animation, he would have requested additional assets had he been informed of the threats against him. So the head of the Secret Service, Pittsburgh office would have requested additional assets such as ballistic glass barriers for the stage, extra anti-drone coverage, and a full counter-sniper advance. I totally agree with you that everything points to them taking their hand off him so that he could be assassinated by somebody. It's sick, and I'm grateful for your column, George Parry, former federal prosecutor and state prosecutor, regular contributor to the American Spectator, and blogs at knowledgeisgood.net. That's knowledgeisgood.net. George Parry, thank you for joining us this morning on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Okay, Chris, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Talk soon. All right, coming up at 8:08, we'll get to